This video tutorial explains the IUPAC system for naming carbonyls organic compounds. Aldehydes and ketones contain the carbonyl group, the C double bond O. These organic compounds, they incorporate, as mentioned, a carbonyl functional group, the C double bond O. The carbon atom of this group has two remaining bonds that may be occupied by either a hydrogen or by an alkyl or aryl substituents. If at least one of these substituents is hydrogen, then the compound is an aldehyde. If neither is hydrogen, then the compound is a ketone. Aldehyde and ketone, the carbonyls, they have a general formula CnH2nO. In order to name the aldehydes, as we know, the aldehydes take their name from their parent alkane chain. The termination E is removed from the end and is replaced with al. So if I look at the examples given over here, I have methane instead of E, I have methanol, ethanol, and 2-methylpropanol. Now, the aldehyde functional group, which is the C double bond OH, this is the functional group of an aldehyde, is given the number one numbering location. Okay, and this number is not included in the name. So we don't have to say 1 ethanol or 2-methyl 1-propanol. We don't number the AL because we know by the rule that this is the carbon that we should start numbering from it. So you give this number 1, and the other substituents will take their numbers. So for example, in this example, it's a main chain of 2 carbon, so which is et, and since the functional group is C double bond OH, it's an aldehyde, so it's ethanol. I don't have to say again number 1. In the next example over here, I have 3 carbon parent chain. I have 1, 2, I have a substitution of 2-methyl propanol. For naming the ketones, which has a functional group C double bond O with no hydrogens attached to the carbon, in numbering the parent chain, we will give the carbon bonded to double bond O the lowest possible number. So for example, in this one over here, if we start numbering from this side, the C double bond O will take number 2, which is much better if we started numbering from this side, because at this side the C double bond O will take number 4, which is not favored. So in this one it will be 2 pentanone. The difference between aldehyde and ketones, in the naming of ketone, you have to mention the number where is the C double bond O is located. If you look at this example, the C double bond O is bonded to the 3rd carbon, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So on the 2nd carbon we have a methyl substitution, so we say 2-methyl, and then we have to mention the number of the C double bond O, which is 3. This is a chain of 7 carbons, so we use heptane. We remove the E, see heptane, it ends with E, so we remove the E and we replace it with with O-N-E. So this is 2-methyl 3-heptanone. Now let's look at some examples of naming, some more examples for naming ketones. So when I look at this over here, we see that we have a C double bond O, and the C double bond O is not attached to any hydrogens, so these are ketones. Now, numbering the parent chain. If I start from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I start from the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So both ways are correct. 5, 6, and 7. So here, as I mentioned, the number should be mentioned when naming the ketone. So this is 4 heptane. We remove the E, we replace it by on. The next example over here, if I number from this side 1, 2, 3, the C double bond O will take number 3. If I number from this side 1, 2, 3, 4, so 2 better than 3. We should always give the C double bond O the lowest possible number. We start naming the substitution. This is a 3-methyl, and then the functional group of a ketone is found on carbon number 2. This is a chain of 4 carbon, 2-butane. We remove the E, we replace it with on. Now let's look at some examples of naming aldehyde. As you can see here, the functional group of aldehyde, it's a C double bond O, but there's a hydrogen attached to it. And in aldehyde, the rule says that we should start numbering from the side holding the carbon, the carbon double bond O. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And here 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are no substitutions in this one, so we simply say butanal. For this one, I have a substitution on carbon number 2. I say 2-methyl butanal. Some more examples on the next slide. The first one is an aldehyde to name. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have 2-methyl. It's a substitution on the second carbon, and there's no need to mention number 1 in naming aldehyde. Pentane. We remove the E, we replace it with Al for the aldehyde. For this one, it is important to mention the number of carbon holding the C double bond O. So if I start numbering from this side, 1, 2, 3, the C double bond O will be on carbon number 3. And if I start from this side, it is the same. So both ways are correct. So I have a substitution on carbon number 2, and I have a group on carbon number 4. So we say 2, 4, dimethyl. This is pentanone, and the C double bond O, the functional group is on the third carbon. So 3-pentanone. Thank you for listening.